This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can pick up some right now online at txbrewing.com. Join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Peterball family farm, hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
New versus used kegs, quickest grain to glass beer, foaming issues with the beer gun, and the noticeable differences when substituting hops. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 328. I keep turning down the wrong knob. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com. Click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or now you can call and get yourself a $25 gift card when you leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107. I'm one of your co-hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by my favorite co-host. He is the director of operations at cmbecker.com. He is here in the flesh. It's Mr. James Carlson, my friend. We are in a chat thread with Todd, who's on the road.
Yeah.
He's at a liquor store. I'll just say it. Total Wine and More. They don't give us money, so I'm at
good beer.
They have the great beer selection. Yeah, someone who did tell me recently. It was a buddy of mine who does marketing. It was like, you give too much credit to brands and stuff that don't give you money. Don't do that unless they sponsor. And I'm like, that sounds slimy. I'll try it, but I can't. No, Total Wine and More is great. I actually go to Specs or Twin Liquors, which I don't know if Twin is out of Central Texas, like if they go beyond it. I don't know if you've ever heard of Twins, but they started in Austin. I'm like 98% sure, and we have them here all over San Marcos. So there's one right around the corner within a mile walk for me. So sometimes cool. I'm that weirdo walking with the brown bag up the hill, like the middle-aged alcoholic or whatever trope you can put on me. But anyway, yeah. So Todd is messaging us the Kolsch selection there. He found Gaffel, which Gaffel, I don't even know if it's in my top 5 in Cologne. It's not bad. I don't think any of the Kolsch there is bad. But Reisdorf is always imported over here, which Reisdorf is probably my top 5. It's probably number 5. And then Fru, which is my number 2 probably favorite Kolsch in Cologne. I think I still like Peter's Kolsch. Well, so I go back and forth between Dom and Peter's Kolsch. Both of those were like top 1. So I guess Fru would be number 3. But Fru is incredible. I tell people over here when they're like, what Kolsch should I try? Go find Fru. If your local liquor store or grocery store has Fru, buy it. You're gonna like it, I promise. But Peter's is just a little bit better, and it has a little more body to it. Maybe is what I like about it. Even though I do like the cloud that is Fru, and then Dome is drier than. No, pardon me. It has a little bit more sweet aftertaste that I remember. I haven't actually had it in so long. I might forget. You drove more than I do. What you tell me? What's your top 3 in Cologne?
Definitely Peters, number 1, Fru, and Dome.
In that order, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Fuchsion. I like Fuchsion. That's probably number 4.
No, Fuchsion's alt.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I get them mixed up.
No, you're good. Oh yeah. We spend so much time between both those cities. It's easy to.
What was it?
There was one y'all went to before that I don't remember if you were there. Todd swears it's awesome. I think it's called Grolsch. Or was that? No, not Grolsch. That's a swing top here. What was it? What was it called? He has glasses from it. No, I'm thinking of Dusseldorf too. That one is like it sounds like goulash. That's an alt beer. Either way, but my point, and then he asked you what your favorite Pilsner was. He's going to pick up some beer, and you told him obviously Warsteiner. We've talked about that on the show, and then I happened to mention how their Dunkel's my favorite. I need to know what else they brew and export over here.
The Dunkel I've had that's amazing. And then they make a wheat beer, but I'm just really not into wheat beer.
Is that the only other one they import here? Because I bet you, as far as wheat beer goes, I bet you it's incredible to that style. But I'm with you. I don't really prefer wheat beers. But Warsteiner, I don't think they make a bad beer. They're and I don't even know where in Germany they are. I don't know if they're in Munich or what. But I would love to visit that place. They're when I could afford to take my family to Disney World, we would in Epcot in the Germany pavilion. They have the Dunkel on draft. Whoo! That's maybe I could talk Todd into sending me to Florida for CM Becker and selling Disney on CM Becker. That German pavilion better be using German faucets. If they want to be authentic, like the whole experience in Epcot is the World Showcase. It's authentic. You go to the Mexican pavilion, there's real Mexicans making your food. Or I don't know. I don't know how they sell the experience, but in Germany, draft off of real German. I know Hofbrauhaus uses our stuff. Oh, wait, it is Hofbrau, right?
Yes.
Yes. They have one in Chicago.
One in Pittsburgh. I think they got one DC? In Vegas.
Yeah, they use because they wanted to be authentic, right? I mean, that was the whole point. They're a German brewery, German beer house, and they wanted to have authentic German taps. So it just made sense. But anyways, Todd's not here to rein me in. I will get us back on track. First announcement and small talk before we get into the episode. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. I forgot to put the actual update. Kolsch Cup 2023. It is coming up. It got pushed back a week, which thankfully, after I reached out to all the contestants, everybody who's written back was like, an extra week to condition? Absolutely. Thank you. So June 2nd and June 3rd. So that means contestants' beers are due the Friday before June 2nd, which I think is
I need to write that down.
Yeah, June 2nd, June 3rd. We're going to be doing Kolsch Cup. The judging will start that Friday for round 1. 40 people are sending us their beer. So we'll judge 2 groupings doing 20 beers on Friday. Then we will pass 10 beers on to Saturday. And then from those 10, we will crown the grand champion as well as a runner-up and a third place. The grand champion trophy, go to Instagram.com/homebrew happy hour and check it out. I made a post there. People thought I reposted it on my personal, and this tells you how disconnected my personal friends are from Homebrew Happy Hour or what I do for a living. They all thought I won a trophy for my beer. People, I posted it on my stories, and people were like, "Dude, yeah, congratulations!" And I didn't correct anybody. I was just like, I didn't say anything. I didn't lie. I didn't say anything. I didn't. They were just like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah," and I was just hearting their replies, like, "Oh, thank you." I didn't say it though. I didn't say thank you. I was just, if they want to thank me for winning, which then made me realize, James, you know how much easier it is to just buy trophies for your shelves than it is to win trophies.
Just go to the pawn shop.
Yeah. What that trophy with the engraving was like $94, and then shipping, it was like $100. That's nothing for I mean, compared to the laboring and, oh, will they like my beer? No, I'm just gonna line my shelves up in here, and people will come in and, wow, you're really award winning. I am. Or I'm going to make up organizations to then give myself the awards. Like, oh yeah, the American Brewers Kolsch Foundation gave me this grand champion trophy, and it's so much easier. It requires. I mean, I'm living smarter, not harder. But anyway, so that got pushed back. But again, it's been closed for a while. Someone on the last couple episodes, I guess we haven't really talked about Kolsch Cup, and they're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" I was like, "No, well, it's filled up." I mean, I can promote it in the sense that it's coming up. We're excited, but I've been emailing all the contestants like information, like I said, with the pushback. I emailed them that, reminded them of the dates when we need your beer by. Friday, May 26th is when we need your Kolsch by. And don't forget to include your registration number, which was your invoice number for your PayPal. So it's going to be like KC. This year I kept it super simple. It's KC01 all the way to KC40. So include that on a piece of paper with your shipment of your beer, whether it's 2 bottles or 2 cans or a 5-gallon keg if you want to send it to us. I know no one is. That would be pretty cool. But we are excited about Kolsch Cup coming up. That got pushed back a week. Oh, it is the absolute last call because it's still the month of April. There we go. If you join our Chub Club at a recipe receiving level, you do still have a choice between the delicious Unterdruck German Pilsner or the Yellow Rose IPA. Someone asked me, what is Unterdruck? Well, that's what James, he does all his Pilsners under pressure now, and that just means, that loosely translates to under pressure. So Unterdruck German Pilsner would be my choice, but Todd, he's not here to defend the Yellow Rose. He swear I sent the recipe to Lorena because it was her doing, and I was like, hey, I just want to make sure this looks good to you, blah blah blah. And after she looked at it, she was like, I need to brew that again. That sounds delicious. And I was like,
and it's, we were talking earlier this week about the fact that it doesn't have any bittering hops.
Yeah, and it's a 90-minute boil. Yeah, and your first edition doesn't go in until 20 left. So 70 minutes into the boil, you then put in your first edition. And then another 10 after that, and then another 5 after that, and then you dry hop 5 days. Actually, I always forget. It says dry hop for 5 days. You dry hop immediately when primary is done for 5 days. And
that's correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I think most people knew that. But if people ever have questions, y'all can always write in or call and we'll clarify on the recipes. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And the Unterdruck comes out. We just got them in. The Mittelfrüh is the hops for that. And then the Yellow Rose is using Mosaic. So 2 really popular choices of hops, obviously for different recipes. But I'm so glad that our partners at Hops Direct were able to get that into us. And on the yeast side, Imperial just hits it out of the park. We're using your favorite strand of yeast, of lager yeast, the Harvest, for the Unterdruck. And we're using juice, which Todd loves. Todd loves juice. Oh, is that your recent Pilsner?
Yeah, that's the one that it's only a week old, guys. So forgive the. It's not a what do they call it? A hazy IPA.
Yeah, you're doing a hazy pills. Oh
no, that's an actual pills that we're going to take to HomebrewCon.
Yeah, and like you said, well, you just drew it from the fermenter, and like you said, it's a week old, barely, not even a week old. You're lying. It's 6 days old, pal.
6 days old.
Yeah, it was. You gave it to me on Tuesday. It was or Monday. No, Tuesday. I was here. I was up there till Wednesday. That's right. Tuesday, you let me try it. It's perfect. It tastes incredible.
And we used Munton's lager malt.
I was just about to say
as a base malt on that, and it's got Saaz and Tediger hops in it. Little carapils, that's it. Real simple beer.
Yeah, and you usually like to use that Hallertau, but we didn't have. We were using with the Hallertau we had, I was using for the recipe kit. So you use the Tettinen.
Yeah. If I'm doing a Kolsch, that's the only hop I want to use is the Hallertau middle fruit.
Absolutely. And we'll actually, I'll bring it up when we have a question later about substituting hops, and the Kolsch was going to be my example of, but I'll bring that up later. But yes, and then I was going to thank like I said, our partners with Muntins. That lager malt, it turned out incredible. We're very familiar with their Maris Otter. We've used their Maris Otter plenty. It is what has made Todd's best ESB, in my opinion, that he's ever brewed. Give a lot of credit to just the ingredients. It's nice when we're doing these recipe kits that what we're brewing ourselves with premium ingredients and what we're sending out to Trub Club members are premium ingredients. So yes, and Muntins, we get to hang out with the Muntins crew a bunch coming up in in June. Let me put that on the screen. Nope, wrong thing. There it is. When we give our talk on June 23rd, Friday, June 23rd at 1:30 p.m. Come watch us in San Diego. We're giving a talk called Serving Your Homebrew, all about draft beer systems. You can go to homebrewcon.com, register for it, click on the hyperlinks for our names, and learn more about us. I forget, they haven't made if you go to the American Homebrewers Association social, they're making all these cool little promo images for all the talks, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They just haven't gotten to ours yet, but they're making nice ones for Denny and Drew and for all these other talks. Like, oh, go to this talk. And I'm going to hit them up soon and be like, hey, do I need to make my own promo image and give it to y'all? Because like, son of a gun, y'all need to promo us. But no, they're doing good. I think we just turned in, and I think we just got approved our outline. So the ball's rolling on that talk. If you're going to be in San Diego, hit us up. We'd love to meet up with you. Like I said, we are for sure hanging out with our friends at Imperial, their booth for a while. We're going to be with Muntins. We're going to be serving our beer out of the Muntins booth. We're going to have 2 serving stations that we're building up to drive with us to the show. They're going to have local homebrew club beers on tap. They're going to have some of their own beer on tap, and we're going to have a bunch of beer on tap of ours for sure. That Saturday is the day I know for sure our beer is going to be on tap.
I'm brewing an alt beer tomorrow. I've already got the recipe already done,
buddy.
Water's collected. We'll start that first thing in the morning.
Oh, I can't wait to take your alt beer to the show. That's gonna make.
So we have alt beer. We're gonna have Kolsch. We're gonna have Pilsner. And then Todd's going to do Yellow Rose.
Is that okay? Well, he said that, but he didn't commit. Todd has committed.
Well, he's doing a test batch with some new hops at Hops Direct.
He is the Belma hops, which if you've been a member of the Trub Club, you've gotten those stickers with Belma and all that. It's like their in-house hop, super delicious and popular. And they gave Todd some ideas for some recipes, and I think he's going to test brew and then choose from that. One's like a IPA, and then there's a couple pails, I think, with various hop addition times and all that to make it different. But he's excited about that. When he said the IPA, I was like, oh, yeah, you can do that one, Todd. And obviously, yeah, you had to brew the alt. But yes, I'm trying to think of anything else we need to cover in the small talk.
Oh, we're actually going to be serving an alcohol-free beer.
Oh, you are? That's right. Yeah, you're going to do a test one of that soon enough, aren't you? Like they gave us enough of the malt to where you can you have plenty to do a test batch and mess around with hop additions. Because isn't that kind of the trick with an alcohol free is getting the hops balanced?
Yeah, that's what we were told by Muntins is you got to really watch that hop, the bitterness, because there's a fine line between with an alcohol free beer. So I'm gonna do several batches I want it right because it's already at a disadvantage because it's an alcohol-free beer. Not a lot of people. Well, I think maybe some people will try it just out of curiosity, but it'd be nice to brew something that is delicious that is alcohol-free. That would,
if you can pin it, I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to help them sell that. Like you make a recipe, homebrew shops being able to sell that because, for better or for worse, or how much I might not like it, alcohol free is what young people are doing, man. It's like Athletic Brewing Company. I see their ads all the time with tens of thousands of heart reactions and thumbs up on Facebook and comments of, I love your IPA. I love this. And I doubt the sincerity of anyone who says I love your IPA. But either way, they just get a lot of good feedback. Non-alcoholic beverages is like the fastest growing sector of our overall industry. and I don't get it. But I drink decaf coffee. Who am I to judge them? People hop water or hop tea might be the least or the most confusing beverage to me. But to each their own. Don't leave a 1-star review, all you hop water freaks. But so we already do the alcohol-free one. And then, I think that's all the small talk stuff I have. So with that being said, it's time for listener feedback. We do have listener feedback on this week. It's short and sweet. It's from our buddy Patrick, and it's about drying out beer lines when you're done cleaning them.
Hey there, it's Patrick. I'm listening and have some feedback regarding drying your lines after you clean them. I use compressed air. I have an air compressor. I just got a little squirter just right through there, blasts out the water, and really speeds it up. All right, thanks.
Short and sweet. I like it. Patrick got himself a $25 gift card, and I have one of those. I always call it a pancake compressor, but it's not. It's just really small. It's not the actual flat one, but it is easy enough to just drag it somewhere, because it's on the wrong side of where have stuff here in my garage. But it would be easy enough to just bring it over there. But
sure, yeah.
I think we talked about last time though. It's not the most as one of the facets of maintenance that we're not super stressing over. I do the air swinging woo 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 method, as I call it, and that seems to work just fine. I'm not getting so much residue or water left over that there's molding or anything like that. But anyways, Patrick, thank you so much for the feedback. We've got 4 questions on this week's show, starting with the voicemail from our buddy Joe Whiting.
Hi guys, Joe Whiting here in Skinny Atlas. I got a question about kegs, specifically used versus new. I've heard that the supply of used kegs is drying up. Whether that's true or not, it seems used prices have increased considerably, and the days of $35 kegs are history. On the other hand, new keg prices seem to be decreasing. New ball locks have been available for a long time, and I just saw that new pin locks are finally on the market. Now, I need more kegs like another hole in my head. Josh has seen my keg wall. But man, those new pin locks with a pressure relief valve are tempting for under $100. Regardless of my temporary insanity, what would you guys recommend for new brewers wanting to get into kegging or experienced brewers that need more kegs, new or used? I always catch your podcast on YouTube. Never fail to learn something from it, so keep up the good work, guys. Muchas gracias, mis amigos, tu amigo Jose.
Joe, thank you so much for leaving the voicemail. I don't say it enough. We've had him on the show before. I love Joe. I want to get him to the ranch for a jam session. The guy is such a talented musician, and every time he talks, I'm like, yeah, we got to get him down here. Joe, you got to come. We'll brew. Yeah. If you get yourself down here, I'll make Todd cover everything else. He'll get your broom, your boarding, your food. Now that I'm the griddle master, I can cook your food for you, Joe. No big deal. Anyways, but to Joe's question on kegs, James. First off, I feel bad. I didn't know new pin lots were a thing now. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen a new pin lock keg.
I haven't yet. I don't doubt it though, because manufacturers, especially coming out of China, are just taking everything and reverse engineering it and then popping it out. So I haven't heard most of our new ones. I say most, pardon me. All of our new ones now are from Italy. AEB is who we do with. I don't believe AEB does new pin lots, but regardless, his question about new versus used, what are you thinking, are the pros and cons for someone getting into kegging going new or going used?
Well, new is more of a static to me. I mean, the used kegs that we sell, they've got sticker goo on the outside, and they've been used for quite a bit, but the inside's clean. With a new keg, you have a new keg, and I don't see. If you had a display that you wanted people to see it, I don't know how that would work, but and then some people just insist on they want something nice, new, that something you don't have to worry about any dents or dings or scratches. Then sure, go that way. But I got my kegs when I started. I never bottled, and I got all of mine fairly reasonable on eBay. And this was way before Todd had Keg Connection. But Keg Connection's a good source. We have really good used kegs, and
new.
Silver does a really good job putting them together. They're all washed and checked for leaks. So that would be the best bet, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what I think, obviously this is like the brow talk question where it's like we're very biased, regardless of the source. Yeah, Joe's point of the pricing. So every now and then, your retailer like Adventures will be ballsy and just be like $50 used kegs. But if you read the fine print, they just dump them. We've seen the photos before, not throwing them under the bus. We like them. They're good people, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes when you just dump a keg and you don't actually clean it, it's still disgusting. And when you receive it, it's kind of a lot more labor intensive than you might have expected. Where if you're like, because we get people who call Keg Connection all the time, like, I could get this keg for this price here. And like, well, but these are clean. These are going through this rigorous process. Like you said, our longtime employee, Vilver, he, goes through this 3-step process of thoroughly cleaning it, pressure testing it, and then making sure, it goes through a quality inspection check of leaks and dents and all that, making sure it can stand on its own and all that, blah, blah, blah. But also to Joe's point with pricing, yeah, new ones, like the discrepancy is sometimes as little as like $30. If it's in your budget, getting a new keg made sense to me because I'm kind of that consumer you were describing, James, of like, well, I got a new fridge for this project or chest freezer, whatever. I have new regulator. I have new lines. I have new this. I just make everything new. It's all new from day one. Sometimes for people like me, whether it's justifiable or not, it gives us peace of mind, right? To where, like if your system, like you have a leak or something and you automatically like, the used keg, it has to be it, even though it could have just been loose connections on your disconnect or something. But it is a psychological peace of mind when you get brand new stuff. And if you can find new ones where the price discrepancy isn't more than, I don't know, $50 might be my cutoff, where it's like, I could get 2 kegs used for the price of 1 1/4 of a new keg. So I'm going to go that route. But I know you personally don't mind getting used of anything because you would rather put that money either back in your pocket or towards something else. Like, if I have more grain. Exactly. I'll just say for you, first thought is always, I can buy more ingredients and have more beer on tap, the more money I save doing this initial setup. And like you said, obviously, even without Todd here to shake his head in agreement with me, I can push Keg Connection and say that, that standing behind the sale of the products, and if you have any issues, and again, they just come in a condition I think most people are satisfied with, comparably speaking to maybe some other sources you could get used on the Facebook market or through other retailers or whatever. But for the new brewer, I would say you sit down and prioritize your budget is what I would always do. If I'm building out a draft system, my budget, I would rather go towards the faucets. If anything, at least forward seal, like a V3S would be my first upgrade. If I could do a Keyser build and fit flow control, then the X1 is my obvious choice for that setup, for budget friendly, right? Like where my dollar could stretch better. I could upgrade to those X1s in that same price discrepancy as if I kept used kegs versus getting new kegs. And so would I rather spend that on the new keg or would I rather spend it on flow control? Oh, I'd rather spend it on some flow control faucets or inline flow control or whatever. There's a lot of other places I'd personally rather spend it. But to wrap up your question, Joe, I think it's a cop-out answer to say that this is all subjective and whatever you prioritize your budget at is where the money should go. But no, new kegs, are they inherently better than used kegs, James?
Yeah, I mean, it just, some people just prefer that, it doesn't bother me anything, but, a nice new keg with a new setup, especially if you got a new kegerator or if you've got one of the fancy kegerators with the glass doors, then it looks better.
It definitely would look better. Oh yeah. No, and that, yeah, Vilver does just speaking from us, Vilver does a great job of de-stickering a lot of them, but you're right. Nothing beats a brand new keg aesthetically. When you're like even very rarely do we get what we end up reselling as premium kegs that were basically AEBs that were used for a month from, like, we have those coffee ones, remember? They're still out there. We're actually trying to figure out what do we want to do with them, because they're in way too good a shape to sell for what we sell used for now, but we can't sell them for used or for new prices because that they're not new, but they are
they look good.
They're incredibly good, and they have stickers on them. That's it. But they're no deans hardly at all. And when we say deans, we're not talking dents. We mean from use. Your keg, people know I'm preaching to the choir. If you already keg, you can't have a keg for more than a few years and not notice the scratches and deans on the outside of it. Like, it just is inherent to having a keg, cleaning it, storing it, moving it around or whatever. But yeah, let me read it over. I think we wrapped up Joe's questions. So thank you so much, Joe, for submitting that. Reminder, guys, if and when you leave us a voicemail at 325-305-6107, you do get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com, courtesy of the missing absent Mr. Todd Burns. If you do, send us a text to that same number, or go to homebrewhappyhour.com and use that submit a question link at the top of the page. You still get yourself a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty stinking good. Like our second question, very short and sweet, a text message from our buddy Brent, who wrote, "What's the best beer to brew and turn around quickest?" And then he included a bunch of personal information, how he has a party coming up and he wants to get a beer out to that party quick. He forgot to brew it a month ago. It's in 3 weeks. Please help him. I followed up and was like, "Well, can you tell me more about what you like?" And that's all the information he gave. So that's why I titled it in the show title, Quickest Grain to Glass Beer. James, you have a 3-week deadline to get, and I'm talking on the 21st day is when you're serving. What beer are you doing?
Kolsch.
Yeah, my man. Yep. That's what I was going to say too.
And if you do lagers, especially if you can lager under pressure fermentation, you can do a Pils.
Yeah. Well,
super simple grain bill, not a lot going on with hop additions. That's the quickest way.
You answered the whole thing in like 8 seconds. Cause I was going to say an ale makes the most sense because it ferments quicker. Traditionally, talking about someone like I was going to get into the nuances of pressure, but traditionally an ale goes quicker. So a blonde or like we said, a Kolsch, like 9 pounds of Pils and malt, a pound of Caravien, and then Middle Fru at 60 an ounce. And actually, that's all I do for mine.
I just do a single hop addition on the Kolsch.
Yeah. And then I use Dieter. Dieter almost always finishes out within 72 hours. Light and bright. Ooh, I like that. But it is true. And 3 weeks. So let's say you brew. He's listening to this on the Thursday. Let's say he brews Friday, and it's 3 weeks from this Friday is when he's serving the beer. You might not have the clearest Kolsch, but that Dieter will be finished out by Sunday evening, probably Monday morning. Let's say you can get it. You could probably go straight to a keg if you want it and just throw it in the fridge and let it cold condition to your party. It's going to be a really tasty Kolsch by the time.
Yeah, we did one, if you remember, in 7 days. It was kegged and we were drinking it, and
it was delicious. And again, it wasn't the brightest beer at that point, but it was delicious. And that Kolsch, like a week later, was crystal clear. It looked, like your Pilsners, which your pressure Pils, I took a keg of it to Easter. I took it there like the Tuesday before Easter because I wanted to give that Pilsner its best chance at presentation. I didn't want to take it Easter Day and serve it. It's gonna be foamy from the drive, the temperature change, and it's not gonna be clear because it was bumping around. So I took it that Tuesday before and serving it, dude. It was so bright. I've never seen a Pilsner, a homebrew Pilsner, so bright. But yes, Kolsch would be my answer too. And then again, a little bit of detail on the Pilsner, like you said, if you have the ability to do a pressure fermentation, now we can introduce lagers into the conversation, because that pressurization, for whatever reason, I don't know the science, enables the yeast to just go to town, at ale temperature. So it's basically fermenting at an ale rate as well. And it keeps the off flavors from appearing. Like you don't even do a diacetyl rest. Like you just ferment it like it's an ale at about 10 PSI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how quick have you been finishing? Like that pressure pills, was that 72 hours?
Yeah, roughly. It was finished when I got to work Monday morning, and I wrapped up the batch of beer about 3:30 Friday afternoon is when I pitched the yeast. So when I got here Monday morning, it was reading at 10:09.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
I was like, that's as far down as I want it to be, and still have a little body.
That's quicker than 72. I mean, that's barely, that's probably 50 something or 60. I'm bad at math, but.
And that was three bags of harvest, fresh harvest. I'm talking yeast got here the day before.
Yeah.
So it was nice. It's always nice to be able to use a fresh product that has 200 billion cells per pouch. So it's a fantastic product.
It went to town, and like you gave me a glass Tuesday morning. I always appreciate the Tuesday morning beer. And but I was more impressed. You brought it to Todd like when he got back from his physical or whatever he was doing that day, and he got back to the office. You're like, try this, and he was like, dang, that's perfect. What is that? You're like, that's the one I just brewed. That's the one that's the Pilsner that's in the fermenter right now, because you had brewed before. Was it a Pils as well that you feel like didn't come out well?
Yeah, it had a little flaw in it, and I can't really figure out. Y'all had
sulfurish. It was kind of sulfurish.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. I was using a different type, a dry lager yeast, and if it's sulfur, it'll go away. It'll fade. A lot of lager yeast can produce a little sulfur, when the beer is fermenting. Typically, over time, it'll go away. So I've got it stored, and we'll see if I try it a week from now and it still has that, I'll probably dump it.
Time can be its friend. If like you said, sulfur usually works itself out of a lager in your experience. Yeah. If it was something else, it's definitely not diacetyl. That's always I say that jokingly because that's always my accusation of Todd's beers. He'll be like, "Hey, try this beer," and I'm always like, a little bit of diacetyl in this, boss, and it drives him crazy. And I'm mostly joking. One time his ESP did have it, for sure. It had it. And he was like, nobody else tasted it. And I was like, they're liars. That's just like his friends liking his Sterling Pils. Oh, that's my favorite beer. They're sucking up to you, dude. They're sucking up to you. That stuff's garbage. That's why he still has some on tap. Oh, everyone loves it. 8 months later,
I'm just not a big fan of those hops.
No, pepper, man. It was
it's peppery.
It was drinking straight up pepper. But anyway, Brent, I will also, if you're watching this on youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, I invite you in the comments to let us know your favorite style to turn around quick. If you had a 3-week deadline, like you absolutely knew you were serving beer on the end of the 3rd week, that's when you're serving beer. What is your go-to? If it's not Kolsch, I'm deleting it and blocking you from our YouTube channel. Or, I'll just say this is one I would take voicemails for. No, don't call it in because NetSuite's too late. Then it'll be 2 weeks then, and he won't be able to turn it in. So leave it there. Or text me. I'll forward it to our buddy Brent. The one thing I like about the text hotline, believe it or not, is it's easier for me. I'm addicted to my cell phone. I admit that. My wife's not watching. I can admit that. And so it's easier communication for me than email is for Homebrew Happy Hour stuff because it's instant. It's bloop, bloop. I see. And he's like, what's the best beer to brew and turn around quick? All his other information. I'm like, oh, I can answer this right now. Or email, you have to actually go in your, I still take the emails, guys, at joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com or the submit a question link at the top of Homebrew Happy Hour. I'm just saying, if you want quick answers, text us or voicemail us at 325-305-6107. Thank you, Brent, for the question. Our third question, it's another voicemail, and it's our buddy Sean from Virginia.
Hey, guys. This is Sean from Virginia. Always a fan of the show. Appreciated the discussion on bottling last week. And I got to say, personally, I kind of got away from bottling because I just didn't like how consistent or inconsistent the carbonation came out. So I've got myself a Blickman beer gun. I am well into kegging at this point. and absolutely love that tool, but I'm really fighting a lot of the foam. And as foam experts, foam management experts there, I was hoping you guys might be able to give me a few ideas on what I could do. I've got the stock length of hose on the Blickman, as well as I'm chilling my bottles ahead of time, so I sanitize them, chill them, and there's just a decent amount of foam. Or if there's too much foam and then I cap them, they're fairly low carbonated. So any thoughts you guys might have on that, really appreciate it. Obviously, all love and appreciation to Josh, but seriously, you guys are a class act. Appreciate you do. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Sean, for the voicemail and the brown nosing. It always gets a voicemail played on the show. Did I got it? Oh, he did eventually hang up. Okay. Thank you, Sean, for the voicemail. I know this is up Todd's alley, but Todd's not here. He's busy visiting a CM Becker vendor, which, by the way, that display he installed turned out fantastic. Those CMB faucets really shine when they're mounted all next to each other, and you can kind of compare them. They look good, but that's neither here nor there because Todd's neither here. He's there. So bottling with the Blickman beer gun is the only bottling we really do, so it's relatable. You haven't used the beer gun wait. It's there in the office. Have you ever used it? You haven't, have you?
No, I thought you took it.
No. I bought one for my dad.
Oh, you bought one?
I did.
Okay.
No, it's still in the.
I don't know what happened. Maybe it's at Todd's.
It might be at the ranch. Yeah. But y'all had one there that I borrowed once. I loved it, and my dad enjoyed using it because it makes you're bottling from the keg. It's not counter pressure. So I always used to conflate it with counter pressure bottle fillers. It's not the same. It works differently, but it enables you to get your CO2 source connected to it. Then you connect to the keg you're dispensing from, and then you're able to bottle from there into the bottles. And it works great. You purge it, you put some gas, and then you start filling it and whatever. Very simple, makes bottling not suck as bad as it has to. But when you're using that, what do you think for the foam? He talked about chilling the bottles. He didn't necessarily mention the temperature of his beer. Do you think that that's the culprit behind the foaming from transferring from keg to bottle?
But every time that we have foam issues, it's either pressure or temperature or both. Pressure in regards to balance. We want to make sure that the pressure is set right. That way it doesn't break out. The CO2 doesn't break out. What I would say is keep all of that cold as possible, including the bottles. But I'm not a bottler. So, everybody listening knows that. They're going to say, James, you're just full of shit.
You're just full of it, man. Yeah. I'll beep it. Don't worry.
I would drop the pressure. Find out if you're trying to bottle it with regular, 10 to 12 PSI. Try going down to 4 or 5 pounds, and just keep dropping the pressure and also look for obstructions in the end of the nozzle. Sometimes hop debris can get down in there and they can cause the beer to break out. But I would make sure everything's good and cool, and just drop your pressure. Go down to 4 pounds and see what happens. 4 or 5 pounds, and see if that affects it. If you get less foam as you drop the pressure, well, then just find that sweet spot, and I think you'll get it. I think you'll get it tuned.
That's what I was thinking too, because the tubing they provide is the right restriction, the right length. It's enough. It shouldn't be that. It's not like trying to balance a draft system where it's some people, they're like, I like to use 1/4 inch and I'm using 20 feet or whatever per line for proper restriction. No, you don't have to do that with the beer gun. That part is balanced, right? I've not heard of a widespread issue where people are like, I replaced the tubing on my Blickman beer gun because it was just too short or it was too long. I think that can be ruled out in my humble opinion. I think the engineered nerds over at Blickman knew what they were doing with that. And when I say nerds, I mean that as most lovingly as possible, because we love the crew at Blickman, but they're all dorky engineers. They made sure that they understand their products before they send it out. So with that all being said, and me sucking up to them, I would think temperature of the actual beverage, or like you said, pressure being delivered from source to bottle. So I don't know what the handbook might say because I don't read instructions. I'm a man. I think you are supposed to use it at like 7 or less PSI. I mean, that's what we've always done. And it is slow, but it's a better pour when we've used it. In full transparency, my pop and I didn't bottle at all in 2022. It was holidays of 2021 the last time I bottled using a beer gun. So he might write in and leave a voicemail. No, you idiot. We actually did it at 10 and it was great. And here's what we did. Pop, I welcome your feedback. But I think that, like you said, if you go down on the pressure, then that's a perfect place to start troubleshooting. Pressure and temp is where I would think you should start.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anyone else uses a beer gun, well, I say if anyone else, a ton of you guys use a beer gun. I know it because I see how they fly off the shelves of retailers. People love the Blickman beer gun. If you're using that, let us know how your process to ensure a perfect pour or a foam free or minimal foam, because the worst thing is you're doing it and it's all foamy. And not only is that bottle not good, but you're wasting beer, right, James? Like, I mean, that's the whole, that's the whole,
that's the worst thing, right?
It is the worst thing. And that's kind of how you're able to sell the faucets you do. Like when we're at that bar, I think bartenders don't tend to care about the loss because it's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm a minimum wage worker working for tips or whatever. I just gotta get this beer out quick. But you watch a mug get just foam, and they're just letting it flow over until the beverage gets to the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just tilt the glass.
They just tilt the glass and let it foam over. And what is that on average? A half a pint lost per pint poured? I might be exaggerating a little bit. It's a lot.
Yeah. I've been to a football game and literally watched them. It's funny when you get into the draft dispensing business, you really pay attention to how the bartender's serving the beer. And it's frustrating because I know that one day they were pouring, I wouldn't be surprised because it was foaming like crazy. They were using probably a third of the keg was going to foam.
Oh,
I was shocked. I mean, it's like, okay, now I know why the beers are $15 a piece.
Just they're not even getting full capacity.
They have to take. Yeah, they're not. Their yield per keg is really low, and that's usually the hook that I get when I pitch the flow control systems. Yeah, like this last one we did, it was the full 9 yards, long draw, glycol chilled line, trunk line,
and flow
V10s
control
all the way, 8 faucets set up.
Yeah.
But it took some work to get it tuned. Long draw systems are real finicky on foam. They work once they're set up and tuned correctly, pressure and temperature and all that. Once you get everything nailed, they work great. But until then, they can be kind of a pain in the butt. But that's why we're here. That's what we do.
Yeah. And I always revert back to Todd's video on foam. I'll link it in the show notes, or if you're on youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, I'll link it in the video description because it's relevant. The principles of addressing foam issues on a draft system are relevant to even bottling off of a keg because it's normally the same culprits. Like you said, like number 10 in the list could be hop particulates breaking up the beer and the line. You could take the post out and try that. After you go through these other steps, it's usually temperature and it's usually it's usually temperature and PSI. But temperature's almost always been the culprit. And Todd, I heard him troubleshooting with someone on Monday when I was up there in his office, and the guy was talking about foam, this and that, and how his kegerator is set for a certain temp. And Todd goes, well, what's the beer in the glass? What's the temperature of it? And the guy's like, no, I just told you. He goes, no. Like, pour beer into a glass and put the thermometer immediately in there, and then call me back or whatever, and tell me what the temperature is. The discrepancy for this person was like 6 or 7 degrees, dude. It was like my fridge is set to 38. Oh, the beer was at 45 or whatever. And it was just like, oh yeah, so maybe, lower it down a little, because his tower, I guess, was maybe losing some of the cooling. And so it was warming up just enough to where the guy who had just standard old chrome plated faucets was just getting mostly foam. He's like, what do? I don't want to serve at 2 PSI and wait for it forever. Cause like he was having to do. And anyway, Todd worked it through, but, my whole point before I digressed. And again, Todd, I'm sorry, listeners, Todd's not here to rein me in because James is way too nice. Temperature, I would be interested to know what the temperature of the beer is going into the bottle. But yes, like you said, the keeping the beer cold, keeping the bottles cold, lower your PSI. That's where I would start troubleshooting. And as always, I welcome your feedback, listener, in the comments below at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, or leave a voicemail. This one's not time sensitive. You can leave us a feedback voicemail to 325-305-6107 and get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com, or if you text that same number or write in at the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com, you still get yourself a $15 gift card like our buddy Pete S., who wrote, "Hello, Josh and crew. Pete from Michigan here with a question about hop substitution. Unbeknownst to me, I like that word. Unbeknownst to me, my local supplier has been substituting hops in their beer kits. I only found this out because the label on my hops said Citra, while the recipe guide sheet said it should be Galaxy. When I called to ask if they had accidentally packed me the wrong hops, I was told that they have been out of Galaxy for a bit, but that Citra is a well-known substitute for Galaxy. This is the second time I've bought this specific beer kit, and they confirmed that the first time also had a substitution. I guess I didn't notice the label on the hop bag. The beer is delicious, and I love how it tastes, so I guess my question is, would you continue using Citra for this recipe, or would you switch to Galaxy hops the next time you brewed it, assuming that the shop has Galaxy in stock? How noticeably different is Galaxy from Citra, and how common of a practice is it for brewers to substitute hops in their recipes? Love the podcast. Cheers, Pete." That's a great question. We're not in the ingredient game anymore, but I do remember Joe frequently calling people to go, and Galaxy was one. Remember Galaxy, one year their hop, the harvest was bad, and so he would call people plenty and go, "Hey, I thought we took this off the site, but your whatever recipe they're called for Galaxy, you're actually, do you mind if we substitute it?" And I don't know if it was Citra that he had offered up, but James, for audio only listeners, he held up and is looking through the hop substitute, or pardon me, hop guidebook, where it's like just breaks down all the characteristics of all the most popular hops ever made, and it has on there comparable hops and what you could sub out. I guess my first throwing it to you.
It's not in there.
Oh, Galaxy isn't?
No, this is a hop union.
Well, what year?
Guide.
So it's from Australia, I believe. And I don't know how new Galaxy is, but that's the problem. So you got to get on the interwebs, dude. The interwebs is or ask AI, ask Chat GPT.
Yeah.
We're no strangers to hop substitutions. I'll tell you, the last couple Kolsch's I've done, I've used Mount Hood because we couldn't get Middle Fruit for whatever reasons of crop or hop harvest availability or lack of availability. I still made really good Kolsch, in my opinion. I know I'm kind of biased, but I feel like, the Mount Hood was close enough to the Middle Fruit that it created a good end product. I think hop substitution is pretty common with brewing, because you're not always able to get everything you need, right?
Yeah. Looks like they're literally listing the only substitution for Galaxy is Citra.
Oh, okay. Hey, so that shop.
And what's crazy is their alpha acids are almost identical. The beta is a little higher for the Galaxy versus the Citra. It's typically used as a late addition hop. It says the aroma and flavor characteristics become more pronounced the later the addition. Developed and grown exclusively in Australia. IPA, Imperial IPA, and Pale Ale are the typical beer styles that's used with Galaxy. But yeah, I would say that's substitutions is pretty common. And the reason is a lot of times, quite frankly, you just can't get the hops that you want at a given time. I know at one time, I don't know if you remember this, but we had a hard time getting Citra. And that was when everybody was just going crazy with Citra hops. They were using them for just about every IPA recipe you could think of.
I don't remember. Like I said, I vaguely remember Galaxy being hard to get to, and I do know. I want to. No, it's not Galaxy and Citra. It's Citra and Mosaic. I know a lot of people combine for grapefruit.
Yeah, I remember Mosaic being hard to get too.
Yeah. Oh, one time. Yeah, and that's the thing too. It is still the best time ever to be a home brewer, period. Not even an argument, not up for debate. But people got to realize, like, the Horst doom and gloom episode applied to every agriculture, where, like, his was specifically about grains, but sometimes harvests are bad in the Pacific Northwest or in Australia or whatever. And so breweries with bigger budgets get the priority and they buy it all up. And then it trickles down to where, some years when we were in the ingredients business and had homebrew supply, there were some hops that went up drastically, by the ounce. And I say drastically, 15, 20%. And people will be like, what the heck are you doing? It's like, no, it's passed on to us. Like, we're not trying to screw you to get more money. It's because, we can't sell it to you for what we bought it for. Like, this stuff hops aren't cheap. Which makes me I suck up and thank Hops Direct all the time, and Imperial and Muntins in emails where I'm just like, how can I suck up to you more? Thank you so much for sponsoring the Trub Club. I love you guys. Y'all are my best. Y'all are the favorite people in the world. But substitutions is not uncommon. I think as a homebrew shop, I think you should be obligated to tell people before you sub it, because so in his instance, his specific situation, he's brewed it twice, and they were both Citra when he thought they were Galaxy, but he loved the way it turned out. Now, knowing Citra and Galaxy are so close, would you, they have Galaxy, okay, let's do it with that one? Or would you stick with what you know?
No, I mean, if you created a good beer with a substitution hop, then, well, maybe someday down the road you brew that same one with the correct style hop and then make a taste test.
Yeah.
Whichever one's the best you like, that's the one I would go with. But Citra's I love Citra hop. I love the way it smells. I love the way it tastes.
It's very, like you said, IPA is not my favorite, but Mosaic's my favorite hop for an IPA. Like, that community, they make that's why the Yellow Rose, I was like, maybe I do want Todd to brew it. I don't want to brew it. I don't want to have it here. But Mosaic is probably my favorite. But then Citra's right there behind it. And like you said, there was a year where everyone was going crazy with Citra, and it was just flying off the shelves. Recipe call.
It's hard to keep in stock.
It's very hard. And we don't have to anymore. But it was.
But simple answer is on hop substitutions, that's pretty common. Anybody with a homebrew store that are doing their own kits, had forced to do that from time to time, as well as we did. But it's always good to let the customer know, hey, this is similar. This is the only way we can do this kit. Is that cool? If not, then I can suggest another kit for something that we do have. But it's always good to let your customer make that choice.
Yeah. And like I said, one time we had a little bit of middle fruit, but we had a ton of Mount Hood, and I had seen that Mount Hood was a substitute for middle fruit. And it's not a 1-for-1, but it was in that list. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. I've done 3 batches of Kolsch with that Mount Hood. I actually really like it. It's not a traditional, it's not a German noble hop, but it's in that same family. It's a cousin. And I was like, oh, this is actually making really good Kolsch. Okay, perfect. Because
there you go.
It was a win-win for me, but there might be people in the comments like, here's why you're wrong, and tell me this and that. And we welcome it. Hop substitutions. Do you brew for the sake of, like, if your recipe, does anyone have a recipe that's dead set? No, it's got to be this and this base malt, and the base malt probably matters, but it's got to be this hop every time. I cannot substitute it, and here's why. Explain yourself. I'd love to actually hear it, because to me, I'm more of the Charlie, relax, don't worry, have a home brew. If I go upstairs and I'm going to bring a recipe kit home, and it's like, oh, he really likes to use Saaz and for this Pilsner. And I go up, I'm like, oh man, we don't have Saaz. Okay, I'll use, like you said, Tradition, like, or Spalt Select, or, I mean, there's a slew of substitutions, and you have that handbook. everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket, guys. I know AHA, I think, has a hop substitution list. I think Brewer's Friend might have one. You could just Google it. And I think we've actually put a hop chart in one episode before on our website. It's very easy to find the information, again, because it's the best time ever to be a home brewer. It's the best time. You can have information at your fingertips. Actually, I might ask Bing. Bing is now my new favorite search engine because the AI part of it. I might just ask Bing, like, what's a good substitute for this? And tell me a recipe for Kolsch. And it's going to go, pop, 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 pop. Oh, yeah, Mount Hood. Don't use that. No, I wouldn't say that. But anyways, Pete, thank you so much for submitting that question. James, that's all I've got. I appreciate your time, my friend. I know Todd hasn't made it back yet, right? From his day trip.
No, he hadn't got back yet. So.
Right. So I know you're terribly busy and running shop, and it's been shorthanded lately. So I appreciate you still taking the time to do the show with me today, and
cool.
have a good brew day tomorrow. Send me pictures so I can upload them to our Instagram, because you're not on social anymore.
Yeah,
and,
I've quit the whole social media.
And I know you have. It's infuriating. I used to love your post. I used to love them. I'd be like, oh, look at Gracie, his dog. Hey, look at Gracie smiling. Or there's Emily.
Asleep right now.
Of course she is. She's the best.
She's never two steps away from me at all times.
Yeah. She's the best. But anyway, send me pictures tomorrow, man, and have a good brew day.
You too.
All right. Talk to you later, dude.
All right. See you.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or now you can call, leave a voicemail, get yourself a $25 gift card at 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsors like Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton's Malt, give them a try by visiting txbrewing.com or join our Trail Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of the absent Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.